Hey guys, Jafo here. We are at We Have Issues Publishing. We're going to take a look at Zynvaded. I'm here with John, pretty much the main dude of the game. So, what is Zynvaded for everyone watching at home?
Okay, Zynvaded is a 1/1 scale miniatures game. The premise of the game is that a race of insect invaders have come to our planet to invade and conquer. When they got here, they didn't realize how large we were going to be. So half the fleet does not want to continue the invasion, but the other half still does. So they're fighting each other for control of their fleet. Now you play the game on any flat surface that you can find, and the more cluttered your surface, the better, because your clutter is their terrain.
Wonderful.
Okay, to start the game, you figure out what surface you're going to play on. Today we're playing on just kind of a snapshot of like a kid's activity table here.
All right.
And so you set up your figures, you figure out what the space is going to be. For the demo, I'm setting up my team here. Your team's already set up over there. Let me get these out of the way here.
And I know it uses like real world terrain, but what would you suggest as a reasonable size to play on?
To start out with, if you're first starting out, I would say no more than 3 by 3, 3 foot by 3 foot, probably 2 foot by 2 foot to get started, just so you kind of have it, get your head wrapped around it. So,
all right,
it's not overly complex, but can be a little bit much if if you have too much going on around.
Okay,
you, so.
Sounds good.
Okay,
so we've got green on that side.
Yep.
Are they any different models? Are they all the same essentially?
No, they're basically all the same. Just the sculpts are different. You have a sergeant figure, you have a sniper figure, and you have a heavy machine gunner. So what we have is we have a slot-based system for the game. So you have a leader, a scout, and the large ones are a support.
All right.
And so what that is that allows for you to just swap out places without worrying about a points cost. So down the line, you can swap out with another medium base will be a support, so you can swap them right out. If you don't want to take this, we're working on developing rocket troopers and medics.
Okay.
For the sniper, if you don't want to take a sniper, we'll have swordsmen and recon troopers.
All right.
And then for the sergeants, we also have captains and commanders that should be coming out soon.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so to get started with some basic stats here. Each character has their name, the slot that they fill, and then what they basically are. Like this guy's a small living model.
All right.
Up here you have BP, that's body points. Once all these are marked, the character's out of play. So this is basically their health meter.
Right.
Over here's Evo. We'll go into that later. It's a little more advanced. Their stat lines start here. You get speed. That's how many inches they can move per move action per turn. MCA is your melee combat ability, how well you do hand-to-hand combat. RCA is your range combat ability, obviously how well you shoot.
Right.
AGL is agility, that's how well you avoid being hit. XO is exoskeleton, that's their armor, that's what it takes to pierce them.
All right.
And then ACT is how many actions that character gets per turn.
Okay.
Okay? The weapons have a stat. You have your range. ROA is rate of attack. That's how many D10s that you're going to roll for that particular attack.
Okay.
PRC is for piercing. That's how strong the weapon is, how easy it is to pierce exoskeletons.
All right.
And then CST is cost. That's how many actions it costs to use that weapon.
Okay.
So if you have a ranged weapon, you have an ammo counter. So each time you make an action with that, not for each individual shot, but for each action you do with that weapon,
so like
you mark circles.
the heavy machine gun, it's not going to throw 3 circles, it's just
Nope.
going to throw
it's going to throw one circle and you get 3 dice. Exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
We won't get into the special rules just yet. We're just going to do the basics of shooting and hand-to-hand.
That's all right.
combat,
That'll get people interested in the game, and we'll get more people buying this.
Perfect. Okay, so to start off with, you each roll a D10. The winner of the roll ends up going first.
As you guys can see, Melina's dice are working oh so well again.
What do you expect?
No pandas involved.
So my group goes first.
All right.
So what we'll do is I'll move this guy. The sergeant can move 5 inches per move action.
So now for your demo scenario, are we just kind of playing kill 'em all?
Pretty much. We're just going
right.
to kind of do just a quick little meat grind type of deal,
Sounds
so I can
good.
illustrate elements. Now, he's not within any range of a shoot action, so I am going to go ahead and be daring and bring him up.
Is pre-measuring allowed?
For shooting, honestly, you can house rule it. It's not written into the rules that way. Officially, we haven't kind of decided if we're going to do that or not.
Okay.
But if you want to house rule it, it's perfectly fine. It's supposed to be a fun game.
Right.
We like to keep it fun. So
Sounds good.
Okay, so he's moved his 2 actions. He's done for this turn. Let's see. The heavy only moves 4 inches, and I know that.
The heavy gunner has an ability called Sugar Rush.
Oh yeah, we'll go over that as soon as it's done. That's actually, these actually here in the corners are actually called talents.
Okay.
And what they are is they're once per game use items. Okay. And so we'll cover that in just a moment. But it's actually kind of fun. All right, so I only have a range of 15 inches on the heavy gun here, and I know after moving forward you can't shoot anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and move to my 8 inches and get a little bit of cover over here. Okay.
Sounds good.
Now, snipers have a range of 20 inches. It takes 2 actions to fire the sniper rifle, but they can move up to 6 inches because they have 3 actions.
Okay.
So they can move and fire. So I am going to move.
Does this use essentially true line of sight, where
pretty
you
much
can see it, you can see it?
Exactly. So I'm going to move him up to here just to be sure, and then I'm going to take a sniper shot at her sergeant. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to check. I've declared the shot. I'm definitely within range.
All right.
So now we go over here. My sniper's got a range combat ability of 9.
All right, sorry, let's get back.
Worries.
Sorry, guys, when we film at Gen Con, things happen.
A lot of distractions.
You get distracted easily.
Okay,
what
so
are we looking at
my
here?
sniper's got a range combat
of 9. All right.
I'm trying to hit an agility of
12. 12.
So I basically need to roll 3 or better because you need to meet or beat the agility score to hit. And I jammed.
All right.
So I jammed the weapon. So even if I had enough actions, I couldn't fire this weapon again this turn. It automatically unjams the next turn. But when I'm done, now I go ahead and I mark an ammo circle because I fired the weapon, whether the shot goes or not. Okay, so I'm done with my turn. Now it's on to you.
All right, on to you.
So here's the tape measure.
So I will turn this so that you can take a look at whatever you're doing.
I'll turn this around for you for a reference point.
It's also good because I haven't played this in I don't know how long. So.
Sergeant?
Who do you want to move?
Sergeant's 5. Yep.
Sergeant is 5. Speed of 5. So, well, what's his range on his gun?
10.
Range is 10. So it looks like he's going to have to move just a little bit.
Yep. But luckily, his gun only takes 1 action to fire, and
so
he gets 2 dice on that one, so that's pretty nice. So
nice.
I'm going to assume you want to take a shot.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. You're going to roll 2d10, 1 at a time. First shot. Okay, so you have a range combat ability of 6. You're trying to hit an agility of 12, so you need a 6 or better. So go ahead and roll again. You have 1 more shot.
And
so that hits.
There you go.
Okay. Now, the piercing on that weapon is a 7. You have an XO of 11. You need to beat that score, so you need a 5 or better. So go ahead and roll your dice. Oh. Okay, so it didn't actually score any damage, but you did hit, so that's half the battle.
Every gun or every hit does 1 point of damage?
Actually, no.
No?
The machine guns, pistols, they do, but the heavy machine gun and the sniper rifle both do 2 damage every time you score. So.
And is that listed? Just
It is. Yep,
listed into the weapons.
It's listed.
Okay,
yep, it's listed under the weapon special ability. Yep.
There.
Good color
Okay.
match. Blue to purple. Same thing. It works.
Okay,
work.
so what would you like to do
Now
next?
do something.
We'll go sniper and
So looking at the sniper.
Okay.
leader.
All right. So your sniper's ranged combat is 9, and you're trying to hit a 12.
Agility is
So you only
12.
need a 3 or better.
3 or better, not 2.
So yeah, sorry.
A 3 or better.
I used all of my
Imagine they're
dice
panda
left.
bugs.
It's like I used all of my dice at
The panda game. I saw. I saw.
Okay. So you go ahead and mark your ammo off for your sniper.
Oh.
So mark right there. And then if you want, now you got your heavy trooper there. Now if your heavy trooper moves, it can't fire.
Yeah.
But if he does move 4 inches, he can throw a grenade up to 8. So, but you may have range. I don't know. I'm not a great gauge of range. I would have to say that looks like 15 inches easy.
Oh, it looks pretty close.
So yeah.
And again, it's a fun, friendly demo.
Exactly. There you go.
I get the entire. thing with him.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, you're good. So once you try this, we'll see if that one works for you. Okay, so now, okay, so that's at least better.
All right,
Now
so his
your race
RC
count
is 5.
You're trying to hit an agility of
You
12.
need a 7 or better.
Yeah, so you need a 7 or better. So yeah, that was your first hit roll.
Hey,
That's
there
a
we
hit,
go.
and
So
you
that's
got
a
one
hit.
more roll.
One more hit.
There
7
you
or
go.
better. There you go.
So you've
So
done
2
two hits. No, two. She's done
Or
two
2
hits.
hits. That's right.
Now your piercing is a 6. You're trying to beat an XO of 11. So you need 6s or better. So you get 2 dice to roll. Oh, actually, nope. You're rolling on this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You did fire. You did fire with your side.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
fired that guy and this guy.
Yeah, there you go. Nope. No, one right down the machine gun.
Heavy machine
Oh
gun.
yeah.
You didn't throw a grenade. You threw a machine gun at him. That's why
Okay.
you got 3 chances to
So you
fail.
got 2 damage rolls to make. Okay, so you're rolling against an 11. So you have a 6 for piercing. You need to get 6s or better. That does
Right,
damage.
just 1. And
Okay,
that's not.
So you did 2
It was
damage
at least
though.
better than the other one.
So I'm going to mark 2 damage off on my leader. Okay? So that's basically how shooting works with this. Would you like
All
me
right.
to show you how hand-to-hand combat works?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Now, let's say my sergeant was ridiculous enough to get himself stuck out here. Okay?
And with your rolling, you would have been fine. So
Yeah,
we're
right.
okay.
Okay, so what you can do to get into hand-to-hand combat is you can declare a charge. A charge costs 2 actions, but it allows you a boosted attack. Okay? So what you do in this instance, if it were me, I would charge in first with my sergeant. That gives you a charge speed of 7 inches. This is
Okay.
definitely within 7 inches. So
Yep.
if you want to move your character into there, there you go. So now, instead of a melee combat ability of 7, you have an 8. And then you're trying to hit an agility of 12, so you only need a 4 or better. Okay? Okay,
4 or better.
you know what? Let's just because it's a fun game. There you go. So you hit,
fine,
okay?
look.
All right. So now,
Yeah, you did it.
normally the combat knife only has a piercing of 5, but you're at a 6 because you charged in. Okay? You're trying to beat an XO of 11, so you need to roll a 6. Okay? So go ahead and roll. Well, these dice are just bound and determined to not love you today. There we go. So we rolled an 8.
Look, an 8. You guys
Okay.
totally didn't see my hand.
There we go.
there.
So I
8.
knock out another point of damage on him, okay? So he's done, because you've done your 2 actions for your sergeant, okay? Now next, I would recommend charging up the heavy in here. That gives you a 6-inch charge range. You definitely have the room for that, okay? Now, not only does your heavy get the +1 for charging, but he gets a +1 because he's got another buddy in combat with him. It's called Swarm. Because they're insects, they get benefits for swarming
definitely.
over an opponent.
Makes
okay?
sense.
So now, your melee combat ability would normally be a 5. It's up to a 7. So you're trying to hit a 12. So you needed 5 or better.
5 or better.
There you
Hey,
go.
she got
That
it with the
definitely
first
hits.
try without us helping.
Now, normally you'd have a piercing of 4 for your Iron Fist. Now you're up to a 6. So you're trying to beat an 11, you need a 6. There you go.
There you go.
And that does 2 damage. Okay? So you pop 2 more damage off. Okay? And now, what's nice about the Iron Fist.
This is what he's about to
Yep.
describe.
What's nice about the Iron Fist is not only does it cause 2 damage on a successful piercing roll, but on just a successful hit, whether there's damage or not, you have the ability to knock your opponent D5 inches out of the circle. So basically, if my guy was beating up on yours and you had like 1 point left of damage, if you want your big guy to knock him out of the way and get this guy clear, you'd roll a D10, and then we'd basically have
1 to
that
2.
rounding up. So like you got a 2, so it'd be 1. If you rolled an 8, it would be 4. If you rolled a 5, it would be 3. But you'd knock this guy directly away from you that many inches,
Okay.
and then your guy could,
Well, more importantly, in that scenario, that's going to push him out to, well, theoretically out to there if she'd not rolled like her. And that lines up shot for him to
exactly.
hopefully
But
tear him down.
We're gonna show off hand to hand, so we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. You guys just want to pulp this dude. So now, statistically, the sniper is the weakest hand-to-hand combat member because obviously they're more trained for shooting.
Right.
However, now that these guys have softened the target up, she goes ahead and charges in. Now you've got an 8-inch charge range, so you definitely have room. Go ahead and charge in. She's got +3 to attack because she's got not only for the charge, but +1 for each of these two, okay? So now, instead of an MCA of 4, you're up to a 7. You need to beat an agility of 12, so all you need to roll is a 5 or higher. That's cocked. Go ahead and re-roll that. There you go. So that hits. Now, piercing would normally be a 5. It's up to an 8. So you're trying to beat an 11. You need a 4
4
better.
There you go.
So that does 1 more damage. Now, the other great thing is she has a 3rd action still. So she can make another attack, but it's only at +2 because
No
the charge
bonus
is
for the
gone.
charge,
But you
okay.
still get the +1/+1. So go ahead and roll. Okay, so let's go ahead and take that to a 6. So that would hit. Okay, then you got piercing of 7, and you're going against an 11. So you need a 5 or better. There you go.
There
so that
you
does
go.
one more
See,
damage.
just don't touch this one.
There you go.
Now this is the fun part, because now we're both done. We'd both be done, say, with our turn. Say we're on the second end of the turn. I've already kind of been softened up. Now the fun part is we roll initiative. Okay,
like
so
you're gonna lose to her.
I rolled a 2. You rolled a 4. My hopes of ever getting out of this or having help come are totally gone now, because now you can just jump right in and start beating on it. So,
Theoretically.
so that's the basics of hand-to-hand combat. So
Wonderful.
Okay.
now, if we want to go over the special abilities,
Sure.
your sergeants have what we call Leadership 2. What that means is while he's in play, he gets a +2 bonus to your initiative. So if for some reason my sergeant was out of play, and like he's gone, we have these guys here. If we roll for initiative, if I roll a 6 and you roll a 5, you still win because you have a +2 because your leader's still on the board. So
right.
we have it 7. Okay? Fallback, the model's allowed to make 1 breakaway action per turn for free. So instead of spending an action to get out of combat, you can just move out of combat 1 move action for free and still have your 2 actions left.
Okay.
So that's the one benefit of them, because it does cost 1 action to back out of a hand-to-hand combat. He's got nothing special for his weapons, but his talent is really cool. It's called Taskmaster. This allows him once per game to allocate 1 extra action to any one member of his team, including himself.
Okay.
So he can give himself a 3rd action, he can give the heavy gunner a 3rd action, or he can give the sniper a 4th action. Okay, which is
2
cherry.
shots on that bullet.
Exactly.
Is there a range to that?
What's that?
Is there a range to that ability?
Nope. It's
Board.
Tabletop.
It's a tabletop. Yeah.
All right.
Or, well, the surface top. All right. So we'll jump over here to the heavy gunner. Okay. If you jump down here, he's got a special ability called Scrappy. So what that means is when he's at his last body point, before you mark off his last body point, you can roll a D10. If you can roll a 6 or better, he shrugs off the last bit of damage, keeps 1 body point, and keeps trugging along. For his weapons, we already did the Iron Fist. We already explained that one. You can knock your opponent out of combat. Grenade. This weapon, it's a burst weapon 1 and follows the rules for grenades. So we do have grenade rules. So basically, we have like a target number you have to meet or beat in order to get your target. Okay. Otherwise, if you miss the target, the grenade strays off.
Okay.
And so the gist of that is you roll a D10 that many inches in the direction of the top of the dice points. It lands, and whatever's near there gets popped. Or if there's nothing out there, it's a dud. So, and then the heavy machine gun just causes 2 damage on a successful piercing roll.
Nice.
Now, his talent is awesome. It's called Sugar Rush. It allows your heavy gunner to move an extra 3 inches in their move action for a whole turn. So
he would be able to move 14 on 1 turn.
exactly, but even better is if you stack. Like, say you decide to assign the talent from the Taskmaster to your heavy gunner. So Sergeant activates, gives Taskmaster, does all his stuff. Next, you activate the heavy gunner. He's got a 3rd action. He can move 7 inches and fire his heavy machine gun. He can move 14 inches and throw a grenade, or he can move 21 inches and capture an objective. Exactly.
Which we have here, these cute little adorable grub babies.
Little grubs. Little grub tokens. Okay, and then so let's move on to the sniper here. Okay, so the sniper has an ability called Fortify. Basically, any model has half its base or more covered by something. They're counted as having cover, so they get +1 agility when they're being attacked, like in range combat. It doesn't work in melee combat. However, because the sniper has Fortify, they get an additional +1 agility. So instead of trying to hit a 13 in cover, you're trying to hit a 14 in cover, which becomes a little bit more difficult. The sniper rifle, the weapon special ability sniper rifle, again, causes 2 damage. We kind of already covered that. This one is probably my favorite talent. It's called Hollow Field. Now, if you remember the old Arnold Schwarzenegger Total Recall,
sure.
He had that little wrist strap that he had with the hologram of himself. That's basically it. If somebody attacks your sniper, as soon as they declare a hit, if they roll a hit on it, you can declare Hollow Field and move the character anywhere up to 3 inches away from where they were. So the shot's basically gone.
Nice. Wonderful. And what can people buy? What do they get for starters? What do they get for anything? How can they get you? How do they get anything? What can
basically you get the figures you saw in the package. They're unassembled and unprimed, so you do have to assemble the figures. But you get 2 3-man teams of figures. You get your 2 dice, tape measure, the pencils, the stat sheets that you see, which are also available on our website, Zynvaded.com, under the Downloads tab.
All right.
So you can print out as many as you need. But you get rule book, missions book, everything you'd ever need to play the game. And if you don't want to go more than that, you don't have to go more than that. It's a very, very easy game to kind of get into.
And what does that Chinese red takeout container cost somebody?
$55.
Okay.
Yep, $55.
And I'll only buy it on your website, or are you guys through any distributors? Can I get it at a local store?
We have one store does sell it for us. They're called Little Big Wars. They're based out of Fargo, North Dakota. They do have a presence on eBay and I believe Amazon as well.
Okay.
But for us, otherwise, you can go to our website and we do have a store link as well.
Sounds
so if you
good.
go to Zynvaded.com, you can find it
and
there.
I'll put a link in the description below, guys, and we'll get that in there so you don't have to try and spell Zynvaded. Although, it's right there. It's totally a common word. So, now you guys just did a Kickstarter for this, is that right?
Yes, that was to get production out of my basement shop. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so now the main box set is being produced out of house, thankfully. But I am still doing all our mercenary figures and accessory figures and things all in my own shop at home.
Okay.
As you see here, we have a variety of mercenary figures. What they do is they can be used 2 ways. You can either add a 4th member to your team, hire out. These guys are more characterful, so they have fun special abilities. They seem a little stacked, but it's more keeping a character. It's meant to be fun.
All right.
If your opponent doesn't have a mercenary, but you do, these guys also have slots. Like this guy here is a support. She's a scout. He can be any of them, honestly.
This guy has no rating.
That's because Zaucha is actually a different race. He's from a race called the Scales. On the home world that the Zyn come from, his group hunted and used those guys for food and labor. So when they left the planet, they sent scouts out to discover where they went because they had no idea. He landed 3 years ahead of the Zyn. So when they finally showed up, he was by himself, and instead of starting a fracas, he decided to try to play nice. So he lends out his services to assist in exchange for technology, food, things like that. And so they don't quite trust him enough to be a full-fledged member of a team, but they will hire him.
Fair enough.
But we do have this guy here. He can be a leader, and like I said, with this guy here, he can be anything. He can be a leader, support, or scout.
All right.
So
now, does it have like a character card or anything in there?
Yep, there is a little character sheet, and again, same thing. They are available on the website and downloads page as well. So if you want to test drive them before you buy, completely understood.
Not a problem.
We do have
what about some of these supply tokens and
the supply tokens? They're not necessary, but they are a fun add-on. What they do is you randomly deploy the 3 closed barrels on your battlefield.
Okay.
And then what happens is when your character gets up to it. Oh, awesome. When your character gets up to it, they can spend an action, they can search it, and they can end up finding an extra stash of 5 ammo. They can find a grenade, a medical kit, an adrenaline shot. If you roll a 10, however, you open a booby trap. Basically, you get the open barrel with the machine gun, and the machine gun will start activating on the next turn. If the machine gun is already deployed and you roll a 10 for a booby trap, the barrel just explodes. And then when that gets done, you just randomly redeploy it to another location. So
fair enough. And are these 2 right here some new armies?
Actually, this one here is just the kill-all half of the starter box. So we only had that out because we had an extra set of those guys. And that way, if a third person wanted to play and wanted his own little force, he was good. Otherwise, this team right here is called the Terra. Basically what happened was the insects on our planet started to evolve because of the radiation put off by the Zyn's equipment, their ships. So what we have is we have our own earthborn bugs that have formed a team, and they want the Zyn off the planet entirely. So now they're fighting. And what's fun about that is where the Zyn are more of a military regimented type of thing, these guys are kind of more of like a punk-apocalyptic look. You have the leader for this group is a female butterfly. She's kind of a sorceress. She has kind of some buff spells and things like that. She's guarded by a hooligan. He's the big dude with the huge hammer right there.
Hey, you got some of them all built
they're all
and painted?
Yep,
Nice.
they're all painted right in here. How much are yours? And so he's a gigantic beat stick. And then you have the huntsman. So his talent is to throw traps out.
Oh, and he's got a nice little bow and arrow, and I'm assuming that's what these little guys here in the back corner are, traps?
These right
oh,
here.
just in front, okay.
Yep, that's right there.
Nice. Wonderful. Awesome. You guys got any plans for the future right now?
Actually, yes, we do. If you look up here at the top of the case, we will be going on Kickstarter hopefully by the end of this year. Still working on some production issues, but hopefully be on Kickstarter end of this year. It's for our next expansion called Don't Let the Zed Bugs Bite. Basically, it's our version of a survival horror game.
Okay.
And in the game, you take one hunter figure. As you can see, I have greens. I don't have any prototypes done, but I am working on the greens right here.
That's all right.
You'll have a hunter that'll go on missions against these guys. So you have a singular figure trying to fight these guys while completing missions and objectives.
Okay.
And if you're not a fan of the hunter that's in the box, you can use any single Zynvaded figure that you own as a hunter instead.
Wonderful.
And in addition to that, the Zeds will also be available as a fourth faction for the actual main game.
Okay.
You'll be able to pair them up and square them off with actual forces outside of the survival horror setting.
Wonderful. All right, cool. Anything else you want us to know about?
No, I mean,
that's a lot of information.
It's a great intro game. It's only as complex and complicated as you really want it to be. We recommend house ruling stuff if it makes it more fun for you. We just want people to enjoy this themselves, and it's a low-key way to get into gaming. So.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to turn that off.